People have followed young leaders since the beginning of time. It's not like a new thing. Alexander was 28. Julius Caesar was young when he was a leader. Like there's been young leaders, and people are fine with it if they respect the person. So a lot of it is about, do they respect the person? If a person's young, but they feel like is capable, intelligent, makes good decisions, has good judgment, they will follow, right? Because they respect the person. So a lot of leadership, no matter your age, is self-improvement. It's becoming the best version of yourself so that people are willing to follow you, is number one. And then number two, I'd say if you're defensive, people feel that and they wonder why you're not confident in yourself. It sort of betrays that you might be lacking, right? Because they wonder, if you don't trust yourself, why should they trust you? So defensiveness or blatant self-doubt will make it harder for people to follow you. So you need to sort of develop confidence. The final thing I'd say is include people and empower people. If you come in and you're young and you don't have a ton of experience, but you're listening to people, you're including people, you're incorporating people, they feel heard, they feel like they're helping shape the direction. It's a lot easier to lead that way. And you still own the decisions, you know? And so you have to, but you're confident that you own the decisions. So you're not afraid to be debated or to debate or listen to people. So you engage, you incorporate them, and ultimately you take the decision because that is your role.
You know, is there one mindset or habit that you have that you really think helped you rise above all the noise of age? I mean, you just gave some great coaching there, but if you had to look at yourself and you said, okay, what's the one thing you did to really demonstrate to people that you may not be the oldest guy in the room, but you were the right guy to be able to lead the company?
Yeah, look, I'd say that number one, I never felt like I was the right guy. I did it out of necessity. The business was failing. It was middle of COVID. The restaurants were shut down. It was my deal, and somebody had to go save it, and I was best positioned to do that. Right. So I went in there not out of some like I'm here to save the day because I'm anointed by God, but it needs to be done, and I'm the only one that can kind of do it right now. So I'll come in here and we'll get it done. So that was my perspective. And so I think because of that, I wasn't coming in to like have people worship me. I came in and put the hard hat on, and we were in the trenches right from day one. So I was in the trenches with the team. We're trying to survive. We're trying to make decisions quickly. So there was never a moment where I had to like convince people. I just came in and people were ready to go to work, and they knew me. To be fair, I'd spent a year there almost every week, so they knew I was a serious person and a capable person. But at the same time, there wasn't a lot of time. So it was, you get in, you roll up your sleeves, you go, and people get on board. And if they don't, then you have to just address that too, right? Like there's not a lot of time to have people not following you, but it's easier when people want to follow you. So coming in and incorporating people is the best way to do that.
And you were CEO of PF Chang for almost 5 years. You had excellent success there. How'd you find your way to Red Lobster? What was that process?
I wanted a more difficult challenge. I found it the hardest one possible. Is what it ends up being. No,
That's what everybody's told me when I say I'm interviewing you
yeah,
today. I mean,
exactly.
who would even take that job?
Yeah, it's exactly. No, it's a difficult challenge, and I'm not. I don't want to state the difficulty that the company was in when we took over. But for me, after the success with PF Chang's, I went back on the investing side, and was approached by the folks who owned Red Lobster, and what I saw was a company that was in worse situation than Chang's for sure. It was in bankruptcy. Sales had tumbled during the bankruptcy. Uh, Lease issues from the sale leaseback, some bad stores, et cetera. Everything you've been here. Everything you can imagine on the negative side. But it had a couple positives, right? It had a brand that people loved, that was iconic, that had a ton of history. It had a followership that wanted to see the company succeed. And I thought it could be an opportunity to do something, incredible and save this company that's mattered so much for so many people. When I took the job, I wasn't under an impression that it'd be easy, and it hasn't been. But we've made a lot of progress, and we'll try our best to make this a successful outcome.
Did the fact that a lot of people see Red Lobster as a dinosaur, did that just really motivate you and want to take the job even more?
No, not more or less. I'd say that I look, it's There's a lot to be done to improve the guest experience when you're starting at a place where not much has been done recently. So there was a lot of opportunity to be better and a lot of low-hanging fruit to improve the guest experience for sure. Because not much had there hadn't been a lot of emphasis placed on that by the people who owned this company before us. That's an opportunity, but at the same time, that's it's a challenge because of how much there is to do, right? And where do you invest your time, and where do you start, and how do you organize the sequence of things that need to be done, right? So yeah, it's a blessing and a curse in a way, but we've been able to kind of chip away at it and make some improvements, and we'll keep doing that.